McAfee's lost his mind.
The Colts have the football. Steps up, throws one over the intercepted. Marlon Jackson! Marlon got it! We're going to the Super Bowl! We're going to the Super Bowl!
The rivalry is back on.
Hi, everybody. I cannot get enough of that. I am Matt. I'm here with Rob, Andy, Trev, and we brought Damon on today for our show. Before we get started, I'm going to do a couple shout-outs. First shout-out is to NFL Longest Yard. This is our sister group. I've been a part of them for 2 years, so if you like to just talk football with all 32 teams, that is a great group to go join. Also, give a shout-out to Sports Fanatics, which is also part of NFL Longest Yard. It is our sports page where they share everything that comes from baseball, NFL, NHL. I think they're even going to start getting into NASCAR. I think I saw that a couple weeks ago. So if you like NASCAR, go ahead and watch that. And then we're going to give a shout out to DNR Breaks, Matt Myers. This is a good group I've been a part of for 3 years where I have won a whole lot of sports memorabilia. So if you like to collect sports memorabilia, mini helmets, full-size helmets, baseball, hockey, basketball, signed basketballs, cards, that is definitely the group to go to. They are awesome people. That is actually their new logo that they just put out this week. So definitely give them a go ahead and go join that group. It's a great place to be. All right. Yesterday, Chris Ballard put out a press conference. I know, Damon, we're going to go ahead and give this one to you because you wanted to go ahead and talk about Chris Ballard's press conference today. So what are your thoughts on this?
Right. I know we were talking about positions in need a little bit last week, and I'm sure this week we'll really get into that as we get in kind of a draft style kind of episode and analysis. But I know Mike Chappell and Wells kind of picked at him a little bit and tried to see what his direction of need was and if he would reach for maybe a receiver if he saw one. And I don't know about y'all, or if any of y'all watched it, but his body language when talking about receiver did not seem as strong as most of us fans and as many reporters are about it as well. It seemed that he was more adamant about getting T.Y., Paris, Chester Rogers, and Jack Doyle fully healthy, which I thought was kind of weird because we have 10 receivers right now on the roster, and 5 of them have made a catch in the NFL. So 5 of them are practice squad style players. So like Reese Fountains in that group, I think. Ashton Doolin, I think possibly. Marcus Johnson, a couple of those. But I think we all kind of thought he was going to head towards a receiver. And, of course, it brought up quarterback too. And he didn't seem like he was interested in that either. So I can see probably a defensive draft again, or even going after some O lineman pieces, like a guard, probably trying to replace Glowinski or Costanzo. But you know how Chris is; he's so unpredictable. Whenever we get to draft coverage and stuff like that, you never know where he's going. And then he gets to the 3rd or 4th round when he's still got some names on the board, and he goes to a guy from Tarleton State. So you really just never know where he's going to go.
Yeah,
for sure. I think Chris Ballard we were just talking about this earlier. He's super unpredictable. One thing that stuck out for me, what he was talking about in that press conference, he's always talked about, getting the best guy available. He's not going to reach for anybody just because he thinks the position is in need or whatever. He's always going to take the best guy available. And I think we'll see that in this too. You can't really trust any of the mock drafts that we've had or talked about or anything. You never know what he's going to do. He's just going to ultimately get who he's felt is the best player available. And, that's the best philosophy to have, in my opinion.
Right. And maybe he was trying to throw us off a little bit there, considering how deep the receiver class is. And, in this year's draft, terms-wise, you can get a 4th-round guy this year that could have gone in the 2nd round last year or the 1st round the year before. So I think that's interesting. I don't think it's disheartening necessarily that we won't go after a receiver or a playmaker because I think for Phillip to thrive that we're going to really need that. And obviously the fact that T.Y. Hilton turns 30 or has already turned 30 this year, I'm not too sure about that. But yeah, just moving forward with that, I thought that Chris, you know how he is. He just really doesn't want to give a lot of information about what direction he's heading. But he seems that he's well prepared, and I really think they know who they want.
Let's talk about T.Y. Hilton real quick, since you brought up T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah, I was about to say that too.
So obviously a down year last year without as Matt said before, the connection between Luck and Hilton was something different. It was something special. Now that Luck's gone, T.Y., he didn't have that many big games last year because, Jacoby didn't throw the ball down the field, and that's what T.Y.'s specialty is. So my point is, just like you said, he's 30. This is his contract year, so if we were to re-sign him, we're going to have to pay him. I think he's worth some trade value right now. I love the guy, but is he really going to bring us, help us go to a Super Bowl? I think we could trade him for a receiver, like a different receiver. I was just bringing up, just spitballing yesterday. I brought up Alshon Jeffrey. I think there's a possible, trade market there.
I think it just depends what people would be offering for him. I don't know how high his value is now that he's over 30 and coming off injury. I think if there was a market and we could potentially get someone better and younger, I'd be interested in seeing where that led. But ultimately, I don't know exactly what he would garner in a trade, being that he's a little older now and he's coming off injury. People just probably aren't sure what his production level is going to be like anymore.
So my thought on T.Y. Hilton is, instead of calling him our number one wide receiver when we call him our number two wide receiver, I said it last week on the show. He's a little guy, man. I'm pretty sure he's 5'8", 185 pounds. The guy is not a true number one. He looked like it for so long because him and Andrew Luck's chemistry was so high. But it shows that most quarterbacks don't use a type of receiver like T.Y. Hilton as much as Andrew Luck did. For example, man, if you look at Danny Amendola, that dude was a stud in New England. Him and Brady had a chemistry, and then he left New England, and I don't even know where he is at this moment. The chemistry is huge, and T.Y. Hilton didn't have it with Jacoby. So for the 2 seasons that Andrew Luck didn't play, T.Y. Hilton didn't do as well as what we all needed him to do. And can't fully put that on Jacoby. Jacoby had chemistry with Zach Pascal last year. Zach Pascal had a decent season.
Right.
To me, I would keep T.Y. I wouldn't necessarily trade him. I would keep him, but I would stop calling him our number one and stop saying we're searching for a number two, because we are most definitely searching for a number one, not a number two.
Yeah, we can find that in this year's draft for sure. That's what I'm definitely thinking.
Exactly.
And that's a good point that you made. T.Y. at this point has, I think, probably 3rd or 4th round potential. This is his contract year, and I think this is what determines, what he's worth for sure. Because there was a lot of situations last year where you see he just get really banged up on a deep route, or he'll come in and out of a cut, go out for a couple plays, and he'll be out for the rest of the game. Then he's out 2 games. And you're like, okay, maybe he should sit out 3 or 4 games and come back healthier. And I felt like he was kind of looked back in a lot of times, and that pressure was on him to do a lot. And, when he got Jacoby Brissett, who can, only move the ball 5, 6, 7, 8 yards at a time, and then get 1, 2 deep shots a game, that's just never been T.Y.'s quite style. So I'm sure that kind of played a role as well.
Right. I really think we need a Justin Jefferson. I think that guy could really come in and be the number one wide receiver. T.Y. needs to be in that slot, man. He needs to be in that slot. That is where his bread and butter comes from. Most of his success comes from running skinny posts out of the slot. That's even where Andrew Luck would hit him. So put him on the outside, he's playing corners that are 6'3", 6'4", and just as fast, or maybe just a little bit slower, but they got the reach to be able to recover it. I really think we need to put the bigger receivers on the outside and keep T.Y. Hilton on the inside. I really don't want to trade him, but I would take Alshon Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Alshon Jeffrey.
You think about Phillip Rivers, he has he's always succeeded with big receivers, to put someone like T.Y. on the inside makes a lot of sense, and put some Vincent Jackson, even Keenan Allen isn't even small. What do you have? who's that other young kid? Mike Williams. You know, it's all big guys. You know, that's what he's a gunslinger. That's what he needs. He needs guys that can go up and get those 50-50 balls because he's going to throw them regardless. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we need a guy that can go up and get it from him.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, we really do not have that right now at all. And those aren't guys I think we're going to find either. So, and that's a question they made yesterday in that press conference with Chris, was the market for free agents. It's not very sweet for a wide receiver. And they said that they had pitched a couple offers, but no bites, I guess. So if I had to guess, they probably went after someone like Amari Cooper or another big body guy that was on the market this year. And, probably just didn't offer him a large enough contract.
Yeah. I imagine they tested the waters, but Ballard doesn't seem like the type to break the bank over one player. He's always been draft his own guys and develop them. I'm sure he talked to those high-profile guys and see if they'd be willing, but I mean, ultimately it didn't pan out.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm gonna go to let's see, Andy. Who do you want to pick at 34?
That's a good question because this is my weak spot is the whole draft thing. But I did a couple mock drafts and I saw a safety. I think it might have been Grant Delpit from LSU. You'll have to confirm that for me, Trev, because I know you're the LSU guy. Yeah, that is Grant Delpit.
Yep.
Since LSU's always kind of been known as a cornerback place, I wouldn't mind going for a safety from there. I think one of mine had Jalen Rieger going in that second round, either 34 or 44 if he falls to us. There's also a T. Higgins. I personally, I think that whatever we do at 34, it should be either secondary or wide receiver.
For sure.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
my personal opinion.
Me, I would go wide receiver, right? We've been hitting defense almost every draft for the last 3 drafts, real early. We took Malik Hooker a few years ago. And Darius Leonard and everybody, our defense is looking pretty solid. So for me, I want to give weapons to Phillip Rivers. And 34, I would go wide receiver. At 44, I'm going safety. I am not a big fan of Clayton Geathers, and I would love to see Clayton Geathers get replaced.
I'm with you there.
I do think Kari Willis takes a spot, but I do want to draft early for depth and for that competition. And there's a big question in the air: is why is Chris Ballard waiting to, exercise Malik's 5th-year option until the draft?
Very good point.
Yeah, he brought that up in the press conference too. He was like, "We'll discuss that at a later date," or something along those lines. It's definitely
assess it after the draft, I think, right?
Yeah.
I think, Trev, I brought it up to you last podcast whenever I was just commenting, but Delpit has really been slipping in these mock drafts, which is just crazy to me because the guy was a 2-time Thorpe winner. I mean,
right. And that's something that, to me, it goes along with our philosophy too, because we talk about getting the best player, right? This guy, I mean, he's probably top 15, top 20 players in the draft, but he's gonna slide because there's not a lot of teams looking for safeties. I think it's Xavier McKinney, I think his name is. He's the top slated safety, and I haven't seen him slotted going any higher than like 18. There's just not a lot of teams looking for safety. So this is a top talent player who could potentially slide to the second round. I think if he's there, we got to get him. But obviously our biggest need is wide receiver. But I mean, it's like we've said before, you go for the best player available. I think if Delpit's there, he's that guy.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And I mean, if there's a lot of wide receiver talent still there at 44, we could still take Delpit if he's there at 34 and maybe capitalize on wide receiver at 44. If we could get either Rieger or Higgins there, I probably wouldn't be opposed to that.
Right.
Personally.
That's the crazy thing about Higgins too. This is a guy we were talking about potentially picking up when we had the 13th pick, talking about drafting him that high. And we're still talking about the possibility of getting him with the 34 and 4. That's how deep this wide receiver draft is. We could potentially still get that guy in the second round. So it could shape up pretty well for us if everything slides right.
Yeah, And it really just depends on what Ballard wants, because we're sitting here and everybody from the outside looking in and says the Colts need big body receivers. But, Rager is 5'11", 205 pounds. That's a big dude. But if we're talking about a big body guy, Keenan Allen, for example, 6'2", 6'3", Julio Jones, 6'4", Devontae Adams, 6'3". There's only like 2 or 3 guys in the draft that are even that size at receiver. Laviska Shenault, 6'2", 225. Denzel Mims is 6'3", 215.
Right.
A lot of big boys.
Tyler Johnson out of Minnesota is 6'2", 215. And that's a guy I actually like a lot, Tyler Johnson out of Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's just going to come down to what does Ballard want. There's a couple guys in there that are almost ideal to T.Y. Hilton's build. So what if he goes after a speedster? It's just so hard to play by. You don't really know what exactly we're going to go after.
Right. And that's why I've been harping so much on Chase Claypool. Got to get this guy Claypool. And I know me and Rob to talk before. There is bust potential with this guy. He's kind of like reminiscent of DK Metcalf the previous year. But I don't know, with that size and with the way he's able to get over receivers, I think he'd make a good fit for the team.
And see, here's the thing with DK Metcalf too. Last year, I was even a guy who was like, "Nah, man, look at his combine. His combine was horrible.
Yep.
He was slow. Did you see his 6-cone drill? Was like, God, man, I've never seen someone so slow. And he might as well go play tight end, And look at his rookie season though.
He just lit it up. Yeah.
He lit it up. And they got him. What was it? It was late.
4th round, I think. Correct.
4th round. Yeah, something like that. It was late, man. We let him go.
Yeah.
Through 4 rounds, we let that dude go, and that hurt my heart, because we needed someone like him, and we overlooked him because of a 6-cone drill.
Yeah, and we played Paris Campbell in the 2nd round. He plays 2 games.
I like him. I personally like him. They used him right, but Jacoby's just not accurate, man. Yeah. If he threw 20 yards over down the field, he was not accurate. He was not on the ball. He wasn't putting it anywhere his receivers could get it. So Parise is a guy who is a downfield receiver. He's not a deke and dunk kind of guy. He's not like him and T.Y. Hilton both need to be downfield. If Jacoby's not downfield, they're not being used. Paris got hurt, but probably by blocking. If I'm being honest, he didn't get hurt by being a wide receiver.
Yeah, because did he break his hand twice?
Yeah, which to me, as a receiver, you're using them to block. If he's getting hurt, so that guy, he just needs a real QB, and that guy's going to shine. I really think this year for Parise Campbell is going to be he's going to be a star. I really think
he's definitely been overlooked, but if he can come back healthy and start to mesh really well with Rivers, that'd definitely be very interesting.
It would be refreshing for sure. But someone made a point on a Colts thing that I follow that Reggie Wayne had a borderline piss poor rookie season, and he turned out to be probably one of the top 10 receivers in the last decade.
Yeah. So that dude for the last 20 years was one of the better receivers. Even when he had Marvin Harrison, him and Marvin Harrison were just a duo that you could beat.
Right. So and sometimes it just takes these guys a couple years to really build that chemistry. We've been spoiled with guys that just come in like T.Y., Andrew Luck, Darius Leonard. They're great their rookie season, but sometimes it takes a couple years.
T.Y. was not great his rookie season.
I just remember him having good chemistry with Luck right away.
He saw the potential.
He obviously wasn't that top level, but you see him steadily grow. He got so good.
He had potential, but Reggie was Andrew's main target his rookie season.
And he was taking back punts his rookie year. Remember that?
Yeah. Because
he was returning kicks.
T.Y. And T.Y. was known only for his speed back then. He had to learn to become reliable with the possession catches and being able to catch the ball on the sideline. He had to learn that stuff from Reggie. That's why for the first 4 years of his career, he was always giving a lot of love to Reggie because Reggie was teaching him those things.
Right.
He was coming out of the slot so much more back then. T.Y. He did those post routes straight down the middle of the field. Luck could just bomb it. Oh man, those were good days.
Nobody could
get exactly. It was a deep route or something, 15, 20 yards over the middle, right over the middle every time.
Man, I miss the days when Andrew and T.Y. would just tear it up against Houston, man. Tear it up against Houston. I just loved Houston games. I'm like, oh, here we go. Andrew and T.Y. on fantasy. You know what I'm saying?
T.Y. put 200 yards on Houston with Matt Hasselbeck as quarterback. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
Game-stealing play on like a third down. He threw like 50 yards.
Hey,
He just
No,
doesn't.
even 2017, the year we'd all like to forget, he had, I think, like 100-something yards, 2 touchdowns, including that one where he went down, didn't get touched, and was like, run.
Right.
Yeah, when oh man, Jack Doyle came up behind him, told him to keep on running. Yeah, so that was a good play. I remember that.
Yeah, he just don't like Texas for some reason. I don't know.
Really, this past season was the only time he didn't go to Houston and just tear their life out.
Yeah.
Right. And this is the first year that I haven't gone to watch a Colts-Texans game, so I'm kind of glad I didn't go to that game.
Right.
He should have been there.
But the funny thing is Zach Pascal had a day against Houston.
And Jonathan Williams did too.
Yeah, Jonathan Williams did have a game.
So
the offense is the offense is still subject to change so much after, like, with the draft coming, like bringing a big receiver in or another tight end, it could change the dynamics so much, because they're all have to feed off each other. You can't have 2 burners, with Phillip. I just don't see Paris and Ty being enough, for Phillip Rivers. I think, and I don't think that wide receiver is something we're going to pass on the draft. I have no idea what we're going to do in the draft, just like, because anytime I try to make a prediction about Ballard, I'm wrong.
Right.
Like I was just saying yesterday, like, I wouldn't be surprised if the guy trades back up into the first round just to throw us all off. You know what I mean?
and take a tackle.
Right, exactly. Who knows what's going to happen? I think he'll take a wide receiver. It feels very much like we're all in with the Buckner trade and bringing a boomer bust guy like Phillip Rivers. I think he knows we have to bring in some weapons, but beyond that, I have no idea, like, if we're going to bring in a quarterback or not. Like, I have no idea what's going to happen. So I'm excited. What do we have? 4 or 5 days?
Yep. Yes. This
Right.
right.
Quick.
So, and with the quarterback, man, I think Ballard will only take a quarterback if that quarterback is best available at that pick.
Or if it's someone I think they exactly want.
Yeah, and really, there's only a couple quarterbacks that really fit what Ballard wants. You know what I mean? So when you think about it, you've got for some reason he likes the type like Jordan Love, right? It's mainly the size, and I'm fact checking myself at the same time. I'm bringing up this point because I read it the other day, so it's not me just looking down on my phone. I'm actually fact checking this. I'm trying to bring up the Colts mobile app. There was a list of quarterbacks that they think Ballard would pick based off of his past, which I believe I think I got it right here, so I'm about to bring it up. So you got Jordan Love, right? So they say the traits of what Ballard likes is the 6'1", 220 plus type quarterbacks, right? So they've got Jordan Love, Steven Montez from Colorado, Nathan Stanley from Iowa, Kelly Bryant from Missouri, Jacob Eason from Washington, James Gordon from Florida, Cole McDonald from Hawaii, Tommy Stevens from Mississippi State, Brian Lewerke from Michigan State, Jake Luton from Oregon State, and Kevin Davidson from Princeton. The only quarterback I see on that list that I think Ballard would take is Jacob Eason.
Yep.
And that's it. There's only 2 names on that list I know, and that's Jacob Eason and Jordan Love, right?
Yeah.
The rest of these guys, who are they, right?
I've heard of a couple, but they're definitely not. They're not in the spotlight.
Right. I've heard talks between a lot of them. I've heard Steven Montez has talked to to the Colts training staff, or recruiting staff a little bit. Obviously, Jordan Love has still been in contact a very good amount. The more and more I listen to this stuff, the more and more I think the first 15 picks of this draft is really going to dictate what Chris Ballard wants to do. How many quarterbacks are off the board? How many receivers are off the board? Linemen, like we're talking about. Is there going to be a safety gone? So.
Right.
Well, here's the thing too. You got to remember. So we've got one quarterback for next draft that's all hype, right? Trevor Lawrence, right? Everyone's like tank for Lawrence. The Colts aren't going to do that. We know that. So, the thing is next next draft, every year, 4 or 5 names come up by the time the season ends of what quarterbacks are going to take over the draft, right? So we don't even necessarily have to take a quarterback this draft. We don't. And if we do, that's great. But I think Rob said it the other day, the only quarterback I really trust, the same as Rob, behind Phillip Rivers is Jacoby Brissett. And he's proven that he is a solid quarterback that should be a backup, right? He's the guy that's with the clipboard. He's got a mic. He's talking to the quarterback on the field. I mean, that's it, man. These rookies aren't really ready for that. And as you see, Chris Ballard, he's got that win now mentality. He really does. He wouldn't have signed Rivers if he didn't want to win right now. He wouldn't have traded that 13th pick for Buckner if he didn't want to win right now. So I really do feel like we might not take a quarterback this year. And that's why all these articles are coming out that we're not going to push it because there's no need. We're comfortable. We have options. We said it last week. We have options. We can take quarterback this year, or we can wait and see what Phillip Rivers does. Phillip Rivers excels. Cool. Resign him another year. Right? Let's see what he does in this year. And then we can look at quarterbacks for the future. We can look 1 to 2 years from now on who we want to take in the draft. Who's going to be the future of the shoe?
Yeah, and that's what I keep saying about Ballard is like this is next season, 2021 is his contract season. So I don't see him like if he really loved a quarterback, in my opinion, he wouldn't have traded that 13th pick. He would have tried to use it to move up or something. To trade away the 13th pick was like, well, I'm good with what I have in my room. And, Jacoby is overpaid as a quarterback, is a QB2, but he's not overpaid as like a QB1. And we don't really know what's going to happen with Rivers, So to have a guy like Jacoby who protects the ball, that's what I love the most about Jacoby is like, yeah, he doesn't throw the ball, down the field. He doesn't win us games with his arm, but he doesn't lose us games either. He protects the ball and he gives us a chance to. Our defense is what we should be winning games behind, not our offense. Honestly, even with Rivers in the building, we should be trying to win games with our defense and our run game at this point. That's our strengths. Right. So, I mean, I like the idea of keeping Jacoby just in case because I was just saying yesterday, I can't, in my personal opinion, I can't name four guys in the league that are like I would take above Jacoby as a QB2. I mean, besides the starters, you know what I'm saying? The QB2s right now, the known QB2s. Right. I would take Jacoby.
I think he lagged out.
Yeah, I think he's lagging.
But yeah, I do agree with what he was saying there. As far as Jacoby being the best backup, I mean, who else do you have that could even compare? Maybe like Nick Foles, a guy like that. But other than that, Jacoby's got to be the top QB2 because he could. We saw it the previous year. He could be a QB1 if he has to be. So you really can't get a better backup than that.
Right. No, I agree, man. I wouldn't be chasing any backup quarterbacks. Right. We've only done that a couple times. When Peyton Manning got his neck surgery, we chased every quarterback. Available. Right? I'm pretty sure we had Orlovsky start that year. At one point, that guy had never thrown a freaking ball in the NFL. Then we had hopefully Rob will come back. But then we had Kerry Collins that year. That dude was like 70 years old.
Kerry Collins, Curtis Painter.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to watch that season. That season I was thankfully deployed. I didn't have to go through that torture of going 2-14. But I don't think this year we have to chase backups. I think we have our backup. I know last year we chased backups, which personally I liked Phillip Walker. I wish he would have been our backup last year. And that's before the XFL even happened. I always liked Phillip Walker. I've had a lot of respect for that guy. He's been on our team for 3 years now. So. I didn't like bringing in Brian Hoyer. I thought it was a waste. I think 4 years ago, if we would have brought in Brian Hoyer, it would have been a great pickup, right? I think in the beginning of his career, he had potential to be a starting quarterback in his league. Even when he went to Cleveland and then back to Houston, they flip-flopped back and forth like 5 times.
Yeah.
I really felt that he deserved a starting role at one of those teams.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure he kept going to Houston because of Matt Schaub. And I think that dude was injury prone. But we don't need to chase backups. Keep Jacoby, keep Phillip. And I think
if Phillip doesn't pan out, I think next year's contract year for Deshaun Watson.
I don't want Deshaun Watson. Listen, I do not want Deshaun Watson. Look, this isn't me being a Houston hater, right? Because obviously I love the Colts, for the shoe, everything, right? So I like football, right? I love football. So I'm a football fan first, right? So I can step out of my Colt zone real quick. Deshaun Watson is not a good quarterback. He is athletic. He is not a good quarterback. He is the new Cam Newton. He's excelling young in his career. He's utilizing his young legs. What's going to happen when he turns 27, 28 years old after he's been banged up? He's been the most sacked quarterback since we fixed our offensive line.
Yeah.
Well, just imagine how he might be behind a good offensive line. I don't know. Maybe he can work on that accuracy.
But why am I gonna sign a quarterback who's already been in the NFL for 5 years and has won one playoff game? You know what I'm saying? Here's Rob.
I gotta remember what team he's on, though.
But now you also got to think you're taking away Deshaun fucking Hopkins. You just took away Hopkins, right? So this is the year that you're going to see who Watson is. You're going to see who he is. DeAndre Hopkins is gone. Now he's got Will Fuller, Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb got replaced by Devontae Adams. So, you know what I mean? It's this year's the year we're going to see who really Deshaun Watson is, and I really don't think he's a good quarterback. If you look at most of his passes that were completed, it's because DeAndre Hopkins can catch the ball. No matter where it is, that dude's going to catch the ball. He's a Julio Jones. DeAndre Hopkins is the best wide receiver in the NFL. And that's that helped Deshaun Watson. I don't want Deshaun at all, and it's not just because I'm a Houston hater. I personally, I would have taken Marcus Mariota over Deshaun Watson.
That's a bold claim right there.
Yeah, bold, man.
Marcus Mariota behind an offensive line with an actual head coach that knows offense, I would have done that. Listen, Vrabel, I'm pretty sure, was a defensive coordinator, and he's a great coach. Not bashing that guy. Great coach. Defensive coordinators as head coaches, how often do they win Super Bowls?
After you take Bill Belichick out of the equation, of course.
That's what I mean. That's why I said most. That is exactly why I said most. Take Bill Belichick out of the picture.
Well, and I think that is whenever we draft a quarterback for, say, the unavailable happens, Phillip Rivers retires, plays like trash, Jacoby Brissett does his classic 7-yard pass. I think that's wherever you do draft a quarterback. And if Chris Ballard is still the guy in charge there, he will probably do his time and his justice and take some guy like in the second or third round. They end up being real good. So
I also, you brought up Chris Ballard being a contract year 2021, right? He's not going anywhere. He's not. He's this decade's Bill Polian. You know what I mean? He is building the roster. When we started, with Bill Polian, we had nothing. We had Peyton. I'm pretty sure we didn't have Bill Polian when he didn't draft Peyton. But we weren't winning anything.
I think we did have him for Peyton because he's one of the people who tell those stories about what Peyton told him. And like, if you don't take me, I'm gonna kick your butt for the next 15 years.
Oh, you know what? Maybe we did. But did you see how long it took to build that roster?
Yeah.
Imagine almost a decade.
Imagine trading away the best running back in football, Marshall Faulk, for a draft pick, and you draft Aaron James, who becomes, a Hall of Famer. That's one of the most ballsy moves, I think, probably other than what old O'Brien had just did in Houston, trading away the best receiver in football. But trading away the best – when was that?
Jerry Jones did that in the early 90s, and it ended up paying off for him. So
yeah, I mean Bill Polian got lucky. Bill O'Brien's not going to get lucky. That dude has no business being the GM of the Houston Texans.
Yeah,
And that's why we want him in that role.
yeah.
That's why we
Yeah.
put him in that.
Yeah.
10 more years.
If you remember what Chip Kelly did to the Eagles a while back,
Oh,
we're now Houston's in that same situation.
and what Ryan Grigson did to us.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, but Ryan Grigson had the title as GM. That guy. I don't even talk about him.
Yeah, as much as we do talk about QBs, though, I don't think we need to worry so much about like who's going to be playing that position. Obviously, it's like the most important position, or arguably the most important. But with the way that our team is built, we don't need an Andrew Luck type, a Peyton Manning type anymore. In previous years, we did. Like it used to be Andrew Luck and his couple buddies. Like nobody else was on his level, and he was carrying the team.
Andrew Luck and T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah, pretty much. It was the Luck and T.Y. show. But now we're at a point where we have a developed team other than the wide receivers, and our defense and our run game and our O-line can really carry us. We just need someone that can just get the ball downfield when we need it. That's really, as long as we have that guy playing QB, we're set.
Yeah.
With the weapons in place. With the
Yeah,
weapons.
that's it. We need weapons.
Yep. So that's what I'm going off of is that we really that's the biggest focus here, right? We need to get our wide receivers, we need our tight ends. Everyone's been talking about like getting Jordan Love and getting these QBs and stuff. It's just not a focal point for us, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think it is either, and that's why Ballard is saying I'm not pushing it.
Right.
And then you go to these other Colts groups, that were the cause of us, starting all of this. Is that they want a quarterback now, and they want to hate on Phillip Rivers. 10 years ago, would you have hated on Phillip Rivers? 5 years ago, 2 years ago, would you have hated on Phillip Rivers? He had one bad season. 2019, he had a bad season.
Yeah.
Those groups are so bipolar, man.
Up. One season does not dictate whether a guy is washed up or not. It does not. It is a consistently bad season. Like Peyton Manning. I'm sorry, but the last year he retired, he was washed up.
Yeah.
It was 2 years that dude was not doing anything. He was being carried.
And look how that won too. That defense and that run game, they were really the biggest weapons for him. And I think we're built in a similar way.
Yeah, you got to get the ball down the field when it needs to get there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Look, Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. I mean, Nick Foles threw had one of the best games in a quarterback has ever had in a Super Bowl. Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, didn't he throw like 4 touchdowns?
Yeah, he was
Hey,
great.
thanks for Frank Wright.
I think he only threw 3 and he caught the 4th one.
And he caught the 4th one. There you go.
Yeah, I don't know. I really think there's other areas. Like, let's say, what's going to happen with Anthony Costanzo, right? I think that's something that should be above replacing a quarterback at the moment, right? Because Anthony Costanzo just almost retired, right?
Yeah.
And left tackle is one of the most important positions that could be right tackle, depending on what hand the quarterback is. A lot of people forget, whichever. If it's Mike Vick, it's the right tackle. I'm sorry, he's his backside tackle. So, who is going to replace Anthony Costanzo? That guy's been a stud of our offensive line for the last few years.
I think there's a couple guys in this draft. I'm just not sure if they'll be able to slide to us or not. I'm talking about like Josh Jones, Andrew Thomas out of Georgia. Those are both like really good tackles. I think they're going to end up being picked up in the first round. I think there's going to be a lot of tackles picked up in the first round, actually. And I don't know if we'll get our guy that we want to slide to us.
No, but I think Ballard might pick one up later. He'll probably get one in the 5th or 6th. So let's see.
Jordan
I
Kibbe
really
says
think
Ezra Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm posting that up right now.
Oh, I see.
I haven't heard that name before. I'll definitely have to look into him, though, Ezra Cleveland.
Yeah,
Guys
I
like
think on our
Austin.
list. So the list on Colts mobile app he's the number 1 on that list, actually, at 100% at what Ballard looks for in a tackle. So that's actually a good name right there. I'll probably have to do my homework on him. And
sure.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that one.
I think as long as the left tackle we draft is halfway decent, with Quentin Nelson there, we don't need like a game-breaking left tackle maybe, because Anthony Costanzo was the best part of our line for years, but we roped him in as being a bad part of the line as a whole because of the guy right to his right, not being nearly good enough to be an NFL offensive lineman.
Well, that's like anywhere on the field, right? We talked about it last week. You trust the person next to you or the person behind you. You know what I'm saying? So, like offensively, on the offensive line, you have got to trust the person next to you. You know what I'm saying? That's mainly why I think Ryan Kelly has the hardest job. Center is probably the hardest job on the offensive line. He's got to trust all of them, right? And he's controlling them at the same time. So, Anthony Costanzo hasn't had anyone to trust, so he hasn't been able to perform at his high level that he has now because of Quentin Nelson. But if Anthony Costanzo retires, right, and we don't replace him with someone of maybe a little bit less talent, but potential to be the same, or equal to Anthony Costanzo, Quentin Nelson's not going to trust that person on the left. So then Quentin Nelson's not going to perform to the level that we're used to seeing him perform.
Right. It goes both ways. It goes both ways.
And I think it's the same thing on our right side of the line, right? Our right side, we all know, is the weak point of our offensive line. Braden Smith and Glowinski, which I'm pretty sure Glowinski is the guard and Smith is the tackle. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think you're right there.
You're right. So
Braden Smith started off as a right guard, moved to right tackle. So right. So the issue could be that Glowinski doesn't trust Smith over a tackle, or Smith doesn't trust Glowinski at guard.
Right, and that's why I think if we do, this is my personal opinion. If we do take anybody in the draft, it's going to be a right guard, or a guard or a center, someone that we can move to that right guard position. Because with Costanzo come back from 2 years, that does buy us a little bit of time, and we did lose a lot of depth at O-line this year. We had 3 guys dip out on us, and I think the only person we're retaining in that reserve place is LaRaven Clark, and he didn't take a single snap last year.
Yeah, he's probably the one we needed the least, and he's the only one that stayed.
Exactly. So I think bringing Costanzo
when you have an offensive line that can stay healthy.
Right. It gives us time, but we're in such a unique situation right now where how many times have we seen in our own eyes where a team has had the best offensive line in football and not been able to win games?
Right.
That's a good point.
That's a great point, Damon. With we had 3 players dip out on us, and I think like being a tackle, especially left tackle, like that's a position where you don't want to plug a rookie right in there. At left tackle, you want them to have some time to learn from the vets and to honestly grow up. These guys aren't done growing when they're 21 years old. You want them to get bigger and stronger and be ready for to play at an all pro level, especially on this line.
Technically,
I like that kid grabbing one in the mid-round. What's that?
And technically, they haven't even hit their prime yet.
Right. So, you want it all to gel. So I'm a big fan of picking up some more line talent this year in the draft.
I'm a fan of it, but I'm not a fan of it early. So
yeah.
We've been doing that for a while, and our O-line is solid. Our starting O-line didn't miss a snap last year. That's the reason why most of these dudes that were backups either left or didn't see a snap last year. We didn't miss a snap. All year on offensive line. So, the thing is that we can take some guys later in the later rounds. You even know, Ballard is very active after the draft when it comes to undrafted free agents. I think almost every year we sign 10+ players from undrafted free agents, and some of them make the squad. So. I think this year he's going to take some linemen, but I think it's going to be later and it's not going to be so early. Maybe 5th or 6th round. That's usually his area of depth that he likes to go for.
Right.
I don't know if we want to get on talking about this, but I'd love to. But I think with the way that we're built right now, we have to acquire pieces on offense or playmakers on defense to win these games. Because we can name, the playmakers on our team on one of our hands. Marlon Mack, T.Y. Hilton, Darius Leonard, Malik Hooker when he plays. So I think in order to win these games, we got to have a playmaking ability that we lack.
So what I like about our defense is that, so you named 2 people off of our defense. But you got to don't forget, Anthony Walker and Darius Leonard together
Are very good.
are studs, right? Kenny Moore is a very good nickel corner.
Bobby Okereke is gonna be a beast. I promise you.
I can see that.
And I agree about Bobby Okereke. That dude is a stud. I mean, we've got guys that are not known across the NFL, so a lot of fans want to question us because they want to be like, well, Okereke isn't, top 10. We don't have top 10 at every position, and that's fine because Anthony Walker isn't a top 10. Darius Leonard is probably a top 3 linebacker in the NFL right now. Maybe top 5. Top 3 might be pushing it. But our defense is built in a way that their chemistry, that the way they play together works. That's why I like where our defense is. You can't just say one name. You can say Darius Leonard, but you can't say anyone else because of the way they work together. I agree. Malik Hooker needs to stay healthy, but we need to keep him because when he is on the field, that dude changes everything.
He does change the aspect for us. It's just so hard. As Colts fans, like we see so much weird stuff that we never know what to expect. Like I always go back to thinking about this game, but the Buccaneers game, okay? Jameis Winston threw for like 515 yards. And I understand what defense is going to have a lot of inconsistency. The 2006 season when we won our Super Bowl, we had contrary to popular belief, we had like a 28th rate defense in the league. Like they said that we won a 6-game stretch where we gave up the most rush yards of any stretch ever. But then the playoffs, and look how we play.
But if you remember,
it
was just a month ago that Ballard, traded the 13th pick for Buckner. So
Buckner, exactly.
He sees it. He sees it. And rushing is a lot on the interior line. Darius Leonard and Walker do really well in the run game. I think from what I've seen, they play really well in the run game, but they can't do it by themselves. They're that defensive line is supposed to fill the gaps. The linebackers are supposed to clean the gaps, right? So if the defensive line isn't doing their job of filling the holes, what is Walker and Leonard going to do? They can't play the whole field. Okereke can't play the whole field. We've had Kenny Moore playing really well in the run game. You had Kari Willis playing really well in the run game. But do you want that? They're DBs. Do you want the DBs to play well in the run game?
Right.
Well, and health goes a long way with that.
Exactly.
Marvell Tell was a safety in college, playing corner for us now because of the health. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, the Kansas City game that we won against Kansas City, I think Marvell Tell and who else? Another backup corner ended up, I think, playing like the last 2 quarters of that game because 3 or 4 guys got hurt. Kenny Moore went out. Pierre Desir went out. Malik Hooker went out. And I think that's where Kari Willis really had his breakthrough game as well. Was that Kansas City game? So I think health will go a long way, but I just think you can never have too many playmakers. And as Colts fans, over the last 10 years, we really haven't had that.
We haven't at all. I agree.
So I think best player available, yes, but there's just pieces like weapons on offense that we just have to continue to acquire for us to continue. So
I'm glad y'all brought up the defense. Before I cut out there, I wanted to say, even though we got our guys with DeForest Buckner and Sheldon Day, we just brought them in. I know I talked about him in the group chat. This guy, he's slotted to go late in the draft, like 4th or 5th. But this guy, James Lynch out of Baylor, I think this guy could be huge coming off behind Buckner, behind Day as a defensive tackle. Or even I've watched him come off the edge. The dude, he was Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year last year. He's got like 22 sacks for Baylor. I don't know why he hasn't been talked about more, but I think he should be up there with like names like Kinlaw and guys like that. I think has just as much potential to be good. And I think we might be able to snag him like
around. Rotation San Francisco had in the Super Bowl. I mean, you got literally 5 Pro Bowlers on your defensive line almost rotating in and out. The pressure that was on Patrick Mahomes that whole game, and Ballard brought it up yesterday, as me and you watched, was unbelievable. I mean, how many throws did you see Patrick Mahomes make in the pocket in that game? Not many. And we know Kansas City doesn't have a very good offensive line either. So I think
Kansas City fans that.
definitely helps, you know. And just we'll always be surprised by what Chris Ballard does, but I think we know what we want, but we have no idea what he wants still.
You know, and I trust him. So we see what we want. We see what we need. I've never questioned any pick he's ever made. To be honest, I've never actually looked at him and said, you know what, that was dumb. Why did you do that?
Right.
After Darius Leonard and everybody questioning that pick and who he turned out to be, I've learned. I agree with you, Matt. You can't question it.
Actually, my first one was after he drafted Darius Leonard, the 6th pick. How often do you see a guard go in the top 10?
You mean Quentin Nelson?
Yeah, Quentin Nelson.
That's what I meant. Yeah, Quentin Nelson.
Yeah.
So how often do you see a guard go in the top 10 in a draft?
Right, and everyone was saying there's no way you pick him as 6. He ended up being the best player in the draft, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So as soon as we drafted Quentin Nelson, I was like, yeah, this guy knows what he's doing.
How often have you seen a rookie come in and transform the whole team like that? A rookie guard come in, and he's basically the face of the team at this point. I mean, him and Leonard, maybe T.Y.
And with the defense, like you said.
It's amazing how much he transformed the team.
Someone asked the other day, it was a couple months ago, and they thought I was crazy. Someone said, you know, if your quarterback is not the face of your franchise right now, who is it? And I said Quentin Nelson.
Yeah,
gotta be.
I think it's Quentin Nelson or Darius Leonard, honestly.
That's what I'm saying. It's one of those two, which both I believe didn't they come in the same draft, or were they a year apart?
Yep, no, same draft.
Same draft.
No, they came in the same draft. So,
and they played 2 years.
Crazy. Yeah, it's crazy, and they're all pro both years. So
yeah,
I'm not questioning what Ballard does. Jeffrey down here is asking, can our defense stop, shut down Henry? And my answer to that is, we have done it before.
We've done it before. We need to do it a little bit more consistently.
In moderation.
Yeah.
Maybe with Buckner in there, but we're not typically that great against shutting down the run.
Yeah.
But Buckner is going to make a massive difference. So we'll see.
I was going to say we've done it before, but Henry really turned it up at the end of last year. It'll be interesting to see if he can carry that over to next season. If he's playing like he was in the playoffs this next year, it's definitely going to be harder, but I think we can contain him.
Well, and look how many pieces they lost on the offensive line.
Yep.
And it was funny. Reich was talking about it before the first time we played him. He goes, it's all about how you stop him in moderation. He's going to hit. We can make those 5-yard runs go to 2-yard run. How are you going to stop that 20, 30, 40, 50-yard run that he'll have? Because it just breaks off out of nowhere, and then they're on the 20-yard line. You know what I mean? And he's on fire. So we did an excellent job, I thought, last year stopping him, playing our own game against him. But it just depends on how he plays this year. They lost a lot of offensive line pieces, and they just gave Ryan Tannehill top NFL money. So
right.
And running backs, I don't think they maintain that same level of dominance multiple years in a row. So Derrick Henry popped off this past season, but DeMarco Murray did that in 2014. Never heard from him again. I mean, we did because he played for the Titans, and that was a division rival. But
he was never the
same as he did for the Cowboys.
Arian Foster.
Right.
Before you know it, he's on the Dolphins.
Yep, for sure. There's Bruce Anderson on the practice squad. Yeah, actually, I think you had commented about him last week. I looked into him. He looks good, man. I think he could end up being like maybe 4th on our. I know for sure Marlon Mack and oh god, I'm blanking.
Hines.
Thank you. Yeah, I know Hines is our second guy. And then from there, it's a toss up. But I think he could be our 3rd, 4th guy if he really turns out.
Here's something I wanted to actually talk about today too, like with the draft stuff that we've been talking about, is I see the potential of us bringing in a running back in the draft. Ballard has been very adamant about talking to a lot of running backs. And I think it'll be Wilkins if it's anybody going, and I could completely see why. And if it is that, or if it's not, I could see Hines becoming just that Swiss Army knife for us that he already is somewhere else, doing a different thing. Because
make Hines a return specialist.
Darrington Evans out of Appalachian State. I don't know if y'all been like keeping up with that, but evidently that's like one of the main guys that Colts have been having like a lot of talk with. And I watched some of the interview, and he opens up his FaceTime, and it's all Colts stuff in the background. And he's a kind of like a Marlon Mack style, upright, fast, real elusive, not necessarily a run over type of guy, but
I like to hear that.
you got some decisions to make at running back. It's a contract year for Marlon Mack, so he'll definitely be that number one guy, and we'll be looking for the most out of production for him. But I got shot down on another podcast whenever I thought about bringing in another running back, but I definitely see Chris Ballard drafting a running back or taking an undrafted free agent this year. I see it.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
To me, running back is something that you can never have enough of.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So Marlon Mack, how many? Look, we know he's great, but how many seasons has he been healthy?
Right.
100% healthy the whole year. One. Right. Last year he missed what? 2 games. The year before that he missed 4. So my thing is we always need to bring in some kind of a running back, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
This year Marlon Mack needs to be healthy for the whole season. He has to be.
I'm not a fan of paying running backs second contracts, especially like I hate that. It really doesn't.
Right.
Like, if you think about it, how often do teams win Super Bowls that have high praised running backs? It's not that often. I think the last one, there's teams that make it, but they end up losing most. I mean, it's high praised running backs. They never, the money it takes away from the cap usually doesn't pan out for the production. Like, especially behind it with a team with a great O-line like us, we can just get. Honestly, you guys seen guys like Jonathan Williams go off last year behind our line,
125, 130 yards.
Yeah, so you don't really need a high price running back. So what, like you said, I don't know what we do with our running back situation. We do have some questions on our hands after this year. So
yeah, I agree. I think Ballard ends up letting Marlon Mack walk.
Me too.
There was someone else that said there was someone that said Marlon Mack is a product of the offensive line, which to me isn't 100% true because we are graded higher in the pass game than we are the run game. If you look at our pass game, it's stellar with the offensive line, but our run game is Quentin Nelson. Right?
Well, and I'm going to go against that. When I saw Marlon Mack in the rookie year, starting in that preseason game against Dallas, I mean, we lost that game obviously, but anytime I saw Mack on the field, and we had Frank Gore at the time, so Frank Gore's not exactly a slouch, but Marlon Mack just seemed like the more explosive player behind that offensive line. That was before our offensive line got good. And so I'm going to have to disagree with you guys. I mean, obviously, if he asks for top-tier running back or even like top 5, maybe top 10 running back money, you got to show him the door. But if he asks for – if he's not unreasonable with his asking price on a second contract, I'm for bringing him back, honestly.
Well, they already have had contract talks, they've said, and it's got put off because this is usually the year that they already decide on an extension if you want to keep somebody longer, at least the third year. So I think what came out was they couldn't come to quite the agreement. So I think if we keep them, which I'm going to put a 50-50 bet, it'll probably be a 2-year deal, something real small, because 6-7 years, your running back's kind of lost his production and step. But it's just so easy to bring in. You know, we have a good running back core now, but that might not be a good running back core week 6 when Marlon Mack's hurt and Nyheim Hines are starting running back. And we're sitting here like, whoa, he's not doing everything we think he was supposed to do. Well, that's because he's been your Army knife guy on third down, catching a screen pass, or your punt returner, you know?
So the one problem I have with Nyheim Hines being the backup is that Jordan Wilkins should be the backup. I'm sorry. Nyheim Hines is a receiving back. That's all he should be. I personally want Nyheim Hines in the slot. Jordan Wilkins should technically be the guy who starts after Marlon Mack. That guy is, to me, is an underrated stud.
I think
he has shown that he could take it if he had to. He could really take over that backfield.
When healthy.
Right. That's the same thing with Marlon Mack. So if Jordan Wilkins stays healthy, that dude is a monster.
Yeah. He pounds it. He runs in between the tackles. I love Jordan Wilkins' game.
Yeah, me too. Big time. I'm a big fan of Jordan Wilkins.
Right.
We just don't play him enough.
he's very underused, and like I said, that's why I see them bringing in someone else to spice up the competition. The best way you can get production out of any group is bring a competition.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about last week. I
That's
mean,
true.
we always bring in competition, right? So Ballard is always his hands are always in the pot. So last year, we brought in Spencer Ware.
Yep.
And I want to say Spencer Ware was I don't remember what happened to him. I do think he got hurt.
I think he didn't make it out of camp.
I think
But
we
don't quote me on
cut
that.
him during or after the preseason, I think.
I know
I think he was still here after preseason, but
it was a really significant injury. I know that.
yeah, he was good in Kansas City. I know that. Him and the other running back that were splitting reps when Jamal Charles went down, they had a stellar year. Both of them, I think, went for like 600-700 yards each. So, and then we brought him in. I was pretty excited. I thought that he was gonna do good things for us.
Yeah.
So, Ballard is always bringing in people to compete. And no one is ever safe on this roster. And I think Frank and Chris has always said that. No matter who's in the spot, T.Y. Hilton's not safe, Darius Leonard's not safe. Anybody can come in and beat that person out. So I think that's what I like about our staff is they are always bringing in competition. So I agree, Damon. I really do think that they're going to bring in a running back, whether it's through the draft or whether it's an undrafted free agent. Somebody's coming in.
Yeah. And where's that competition at receiver? I just
Where's that competition at, bro? That's at Reese Fountain.
But
so many people love Reese
Now,
Fountain.
Can you beat Rodgers? How did that guy get brought back this year? I mean, they were really talking about this is 1070 The Fan, the Colts reporting, the Colts reporting group at training camp. And it's the third or fourth day, and they're like, we just don't see it out of Chester Rogers. How does that guy? I am so that guy.
I think we said it last week.
Yeah.
Chester was the guy who will only make a big play in big moments.
Once.
Yeah. And he'll disappear again. They do just enough to stay on the team. And
Hit the guy, and then he makes that one play, and you're like, "Yeah, Chester," and then he does nothing.
He always makes you think, what if
you have his jersey in the cart? You have his jersey in the cart, and then he drops a pass. And you're like, delete that shit.
I don't think we're going to bring him back. I don't think he's going to make the roster.
If we want people double dip, I don't think he does at all.
My issue is with Reese Fountain. This guy, everyone's been so hyped on Reese Fountain, but I've seen nothing.
We've seen zero NFL passes caught. That's exact same energy with Deion Kane. Look what happened.
He's dropped. He's dropped everything. The dude had issues. They even said he had issues. That's why they weren't bringing him off practice squad. Why does everyone want to keep Reese Fountain?
Just because we don't have anybody else. Like it's really a bare. It's like a bare wide receiver room after Ty, and you got Paris Campbell, who's a question mark, and then Damon was mentioning all the no names earlier, Ashton Dolan, and we need some wide receivers. At least I'm thinking at least two.
My thing is though is that we're keeping Reese Fountain on our practice squad. We could drop that dude from our practice squad, go grab someone else from their practice squad.
Yeah,
see if he could be better. You know what I mean? Like Reese Fountain has shown us nothing. He had the opportunity. Frank gave him a chance. Brought him up. I remember this because I remember Ashley was always talking about him, and I was like, I haven't seen anything from him. That I can't say.
He was a 6th-round pick.
Yeah, and then 1 week Frank was like, "Here, man, you have your shot. Here you go. Put him in the game.
Drop.
In a situation we needed him, dropped it. I was like, done. Get rid of him. Get rid of him. He had so much hype about him being a 6th-round pick. Everyone said he was a steal. All this stuff, and I haven't seen anything from this guy at all.
Yeah,
and
same with Kane.
A lot of things I try to do and evaluate, and for us as Colts fans trying to figure out how Chris drafts is go back and look at his Kansas City acquisitions. You always I always try to build off what other teams do and to see what we could do or how much different Chris and Frank will end up running with things. But the wide receiver group for us is just it's so abysmal in better words.
Yeah.
Our leading receiver had like 650 yards at Zach Pascal.
Zach Pascal. Oh my God. We need receivers bad.
650 yards. Is 650 yards and 6 touchdowns is your leading receiver, you have serious issues. Serious.
Yeah, but who are you putting that on? I mean, Zach Pascal, I like him for depth. I don't like him as a starter.
I think he's a good number 3 guy.
There's a lot of things to blame. Frank made a lot of weird calls last year.
Very conservative.
3rd and 6, we're going to run the ball. 3rd and 8, we're going to run the ball. 3rd and 15, we're running the ball. Or on second down, and then the dink and dunks and stuff like that. Jacoby's a very good sideline to sideline, I'd say, arm. He has such a cannon, he can get balls there. And that's why I commented last week. I was like, if this dude has such a cannon, why doesn't he take the ball down the field?
Because of accuracy.
No accuracy. Exactly. So a lot of things to blame. I don't want to say that the coaching staff gave up on Jacoby later on in the season because coping with the injury, I'm sure it doesn't make it easy. But
yeah, he looked like somebody who'd lost all his confidence after the injury, in my opinion, personally.
If someone wants to pull up our active roster for the Miami game and look up our receiving core, I guarantee you, like 5 of them, I think I commented last week, but 11 guys got brought up from the practice squad for that game. And everybody's sitting here making fun of us for losing to the Dolphins. And I'm like, you got 22 starting positions and 11 of you dress how many? You dress 46?
46.
You dress 46. And 11 of those guys were making $20 a week. I mean,
yeah, that's crazy.
You're pointing fingers. And I remember that final drive we had to score. And I'm looking at our receiving core. It's Ashton Doolin, Marcus Johnson, Chester Rogers, and Eric Ebron.
Did you say Ashton Doolin?
Yes.
I missed this game. I'm pretty sure I was out in the field training or something, but Ashton Doolin? Who is he?
He's a special teamer.
Exactly.
Special teamer.
Oh, he's on our team. Yeah, believe it or not. One of those no names.
That's my point.
And I'm pretty sure
I think he caught a pass in the Kansas City game.
That game. It may have been a Naheem and a Jordan show. I think it may have been whenever Jordan, or what's the other guy's name? Williams. Jonathan Williams kind of played his first little game because he started playing in between there. But and it's Brian Hoyer playing, and you're really getting nervous now because you're seeing who's out there and who's playing, and you're like, is the ball going to get out? Is the ball going to be caught? Is this going to be a sharp route? And it was a catastrophe. You know what I mean? A 3rd and 8. It was a 3rd and 8 or 4th and 8 to get a first down and be on the goal line, and we threw like a 6-yard slant to Eric Ebron.
It was a 4th and 10. I was there. I remember.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm miserable about it.
Andy,
go ahead, Andy.
You were there. I mean,
I remember I thought he got it too, but then I found out it's a turnover on downs, and I'm just because I was at like field level, so I didn't know from my point of view, you couldn't really see where the first down marker was. So he looked like he got to that first down. Then I realized he didn't. I'm like, no.
Yeah, that's a good point that Jordan makes there too. Dolphins were starting to figure it out in terms of where they were going with all of it and our injuries. It was a trap game for us. It absolutely was. And I felt like we got a horrible, horrible rap for that because you bring a practice squad team you bring a practice squad team with a 3rd-string quarterback playing. I think any team that brings a starting crew will win. So,
right,
even Fitzpatrick.
But this is just something to build off of. It just goes to show that we do need weapons. But it was just so weird in Chris's interview yesterday. He was so adamant about getting the players we had healthy, and I'm like, where's the production at when these guys are healthy? And you lose a pass-catching tight end with Ebron. Oh, that's something we should talk about too. Ebron's antics since he's left.
Yeah.
But I think that's where we do go after a pass-catching tight end in the draft. Jack Doyle is a real liable guy, but more utilizes a run blocker.
So Jack Doyle to me is a pass catcher, but he's a pass catcher in a deke and dunk style. So he's that 5 to 7 yard type tight end. We don't really use him further down the field, right? We've always had him do those those little slants. There's he's splitting those zones, those inverted zones. He's splitting those, right? That's mainly what he's for. That's what he's always been for. If there's anything more, he usually fumbles it. If you remember Andrew Luck's first game back, he lost because Jack Doyle fumbled.
Well, you know what's funny is that the statistic that he has the highest catch rate of like any receiver any tight end like in the league. Like he has the fewest amount of drops.
He catches everything. It's after is what he does, right? So
it's insane.
Yeah, which is he should be who we're using in that 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, because he's going to do that 6 to 8 yard route, and he's either going to be open or he's going to catch it somehow.
Yeah, it was never a sure hand going to Ebron.
Yeah, no, but and the thing with Ebron too, you brought up his antics, right? I liked what Ebron did with Andrew Luck, but even with Andrew Luck, Ebron wasn't the same type of player as everyone else on this team. If you ever noticed, Ebron always stood out. He was always different. He was always mouthy. He was always talking. A dude never shut up. He was like that in Detroit, and now he's like that in Pittsburgh, which Pittsburgh is on our schedule. That's the only player I've ever seen leave that I cannot wait to dominate. His mouth, man. But he's not wrong, right? Andrew Luck made us relevant for so long. What fans are used to.
It's unneeded. Like the jersey stuff. Did y'all see that? He posted a picture of New Jersey, and he's just talking mess about it. And then he went at a fan about it, and I'm like, this is my opinion, and this is what I'll leave it at. If you're about to, I'm sure not many teams offered him a contract after the abysmal years he gave the Lions. If someone gives you a chance, it's a thank you for giving me this opportunity, but it's time for me to leave. And I watched who's the guy? Dan Donkich out of Indianapolis.
Yeah.
He interviewed Chris Ballard, and he was trying to kind of pull it out of him, like, hey, why aren't we are we going to bring back Ebron this year? And he was just speechless about it. Just didn't say anything.
No, yeah. I mean, I knew months ago that we weren't going to bring back Ebron. Somebody asked him, and he said, I don't think so.
Yeah, he was outright.
It was like
attitude.
It was like January.
Well, then
the
extension to Jack Doyle too was kind of a sign that we weren't going to bring Ebron back too. I thought.
So Jack Doyle earned it though. I mean, he's good. He's usable in multiple spots. Ebron he's not reliable, man. It's like a 30-70 if he's going to catch it.
Right.
And it becomes 100% that he's going to catch it when it's an impossible catch. And I don't like that. I don't care about that, right? Like I don't want Odell Beckham because he can make one-hand catches. I want you to catch those easy ones. That's what I want.
I mean, what about Thaddeus Moss?
Yeah,
wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
I mean,
if he's there in the later rounds, go for it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We got, we have the capital to acquire weapons with how deep the draft is. This is just a time I think that we need to stock up on that type of stuff while we can, because next year's draft might not be like that. So even if this guy we have faith in doesn't start one game or gets a couple reps a game, okay, T.Y. Hilton leaves the equation next year, okay, so-and-so gets hurt, that's a guy we can bring in, We don't need to our rotational depth with wide receiver doesn't have to be pulling up no name from practice squad every week and you filling in and you filling in and you filling in.
I agree 100%. I mean that's what we started doing last year, and that's not what we need. But the thing is,
I'll let you finish. No, go ahead and finish, Matt. Then I'll.
I was trying to think as I was talking, so you can go ahead. Man.
Okay, that's fair. What I would like to do, and I don't know if we're going to see it happen, I would not be mad if Chris Ballard went talked to the Redskins and somehow stole Terry McLaurin out of them. I liked what I saw out of him. Though I'm a little bit. I'll say I'm a little bit biased. He grew up like down the street from me. He went to the same school as I did through middle school. But he's a hometown guy. He might be down to play for that, or he might play with a little bit more passion. I thought, given the fact that he's on the Redskins, he was probably their best player last year, and I liked what I saw out of him. Just imagine what you could do behind, or one, for his home team if we were to go out and pull that trigger, and two, I think he could be a solid receiver for us if we ever did that. That's my personal opinion. I want to hear what you guys have to say about him, though, too.
I like Terry McLaurin Ohio State guy, right?
Ohio State.
Redskins kind of number one guy. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
But Chris Ballard is such a draft dude. And this has been such a weird offseason for us, watching him go after these guys that previous Pro Bowlers, all pros, dishing out contract money. I see that. I know that there's guys out there he likes. I was thinking, what if Tyreek Hill comes up on a contract here? What if he reunites us with him? So there's always that available. I don't know.
I'll tell you what.
Go ahead.
I'll tell you what would happen if we got Tyreek Hill. All of a sudden, every Colts fan would be denying the fact or the whole concept of him abusing his child and girlfriend. For starters.
I'm not a huge fan of these little receivers, man. We have T.Y. Hilton. We have Paris Campbell. We need a big boy for a change. When's the last time we had one? Funchess, and that didn't work out.
Derek Rogers. I'm trying to think, man. Andre Johnson at 35 years old.
That didn't work out. We need a young guy.
Do y'all remember when we brought in Deron Carter from the Canadian?
I did.
And he broke every record.
Dude.
We broke every record we had in the at camp, and then we cut him.
Yeah.
That was a Grigson move.
That was such a great move. I mean, and the guy I think is still a complete baller in the CFL. Multiple time All-Star in it, and I think
I think that's right actually.
So I was so confused by that because I was like, that was a year that I think we lost in the AFC Championship to the Patriots when we brought him in.
And that was the year before.
So I'm like, all right, up year, we made the playoffs. This is something cool, like a weapon to add to Andrew Luck. Not thinking about the horrible offensive line, but and then he goes off during the regular season. I mean, during camp in the I don't even think he made preseason. I think they cut him after the first game.
No, something like that. I don't really remember now, but I remember I was really excited about him, and then we just never got to see him play.
Even with Grigson, though, we were bringing in rugby players, and we were bringing all different types of people from different countries. And
the guy from Game of Thrones.
If you guys remember Dr. Mary, man, that dude was in the Army, man. He got in trouble because Chuck Pagano called him and said, "Hey, man, you want to play for the Colts?" That dude was a 13 alpha, and he came in and didn't do anything. So you took that guy,
Pittman,
Dr. Mary, man.
Oh,
he was active duty officer. He would have actually been one of my officers if we were stationed in the same location because he works in my job. So, but he's actually I worked with someone who worked with him before he went to play for the Colts. So he actually had an offer from the Saints, and then he had an offer from Chuck Pagano. Chuck Pagano was like, "Man, you don't even need to try out, dude. Just come play for us." That's the kind of stuff that was going on with Ryan Grigson and Chuck Pagano. They weren't doing tryouts; they were just signing people. I can't remember the dude's name, but he played rugby in Africa. Never played down a football for all Madden. I don't remember his name.
What's his name? Played defense, right?
Yeah, he played defense. They put him at linebacker. They tried to pull kick. It's
what was his name?
I have nothing.
Jeez, I mean, me and my buddy. That's such a gray year. We tried to just kind of ignore failures.
We were just signing everybody. There was no tryouts. There was nothing involved. It was just, hey man, you wanna come give this a shot, dude? You ever play football before? Oh, I played Madden. All right, cool, man. Come on out.
Pittman or Claypool.
I love Michael Pittman. I think he's a dog.
I think he is too. I will say this about Mims. He is 6'3", 215. I've broke down a lot of his tape over the last couple of weeks to try and get more interested in him. He gets bullied on 50-50 balls for his size, if that makes sense. A 6'3", 215 pounds playing in the Big 12. He plays for Baylor. Defenses aren't very good. That's why you see Oklahoma put up 50 points a game. UT put up a ton of points a game. Big 12 has never been known for that, and I'm sure you know that as well. But I like Mims a lot. I think he's a heck of an athlete. He's definitely a stud. But 6'3", 215, the production you want out of somebody being a big body receiver, I just don't think he has. I think Claypool does. I know we've talked about his boomer bust potential, Pittman as well. But if we're talking about 50-50 balls and big body receivers, I mean, Tyler Johnson on Minnesota, that's his gimmick. I mean, he's literally known for he has the highest contested catch rate in all of college football. So And he has a very good character. So, we always talk about that, but, character means a lot to Chris Ballard. So, and I know there's a couple guys earlier in the draft that I think Chris Ballard wouldn't, quite go after because of his character. So,
definitely. I think those are the type of guys we're going to be looking at with Phillip Rivers now. I mean, the dude's a gunslinger. He's going to need guys that can just go up and get it from him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agreed. All right, guys. So we definitely went way past our time again. I don't think we did that last week. We get so into it, man.
So you said last week that you're trying to make this 45 minutes. I think you should stop trying. We're probably going to go at least an hour every time.
That's a good goal to aim for, but
so we'll aim for an hour. If we pass it, we pass. You know what I'm saying? So, I appreciate you guys coming again, Damon. We appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody who's been commenting and talking, we appreciate it. Make sure you guys share and like and
for sure.
Make sure you come back and bring your friend.
For sure. I'll bring some I'll try to get some people aboard and watch with us. If y'all got any questions for me, please shoot them this way. I'm deep Colts guy, so yeah, I'd love to come back on here anytime and talk Colts with y'all as well. So
should all make plans when everybody's available, try to go to a home game.
I was thinking about that today. I was like, I would love, as much as I would love to go and watch more Houston games, but I would really love to come watch a Colts game in Indy. I think that'd be real special.
Yeah. Basically, once this whole COVID thing is done, I got to go to school, and then I'm moving. So once I move and get settled, we'll figure all that out, definitely, for sure.
Sure.
I definitely want to. I know I brought it up multiple times. I want to go to a game with y'all. So,
well, it surprised me last time that I'm the only one who's been to an actual Colts home game, just because I'm the only one who lives in the Indy area.
Yeah.
Yeah. So me and Rob are actually from Jersey. So
y'all should I'll tell you what. I went to a couple of games during the Manning area and to Houston, obviously, and man, I could say this: Peyton Manning and the Marvin Harrison Reggie Wayne show. You want to see a guy torch somebody for like 400 or 500 yards, and just a stadium full of really upset people with their heads in the dirt. I mean, I didn't get to see Edrigan ever play against them, but Joseph Adai, that was one of the first years I went was whenever he had his breakout year, the year after his rookie season, 2007. And we were down like actually a pretty decent amount. That's whenever I don't know if y'all remember, Reggie had like that really crazy catch in like the back of the zone, that one-hander. He also had another one where we got beat really bad with Kerry Collins. Was at that game as well. But I just remember us coming back and winning, and people start throwing the nuts at me, then the popcorn, then the Skittles, then the drink. I'm like a 10-year-old kid, man. I'm like, what is this, man? But
at least you get to go to games, even if they're for a division round. That means you get one once a year.
Right.
So there's that. Did you ever go to one of the T.Y. Hilton Slayer games?
Yeah, I have.
Just killed everybody.
I went to the playoff game whenever we won against them 2018, 2 years ago now, I guess.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And I remember I went up to everybody and I said, man, I've never been here before. And they're like, really? Well, welcome here. I said, yeah, I've never been to Hilton Stadium before. Oh, man, you want to talk about nice. People were upset. But first drive of the game, Hilton goes for like 60 yards, and I stand up, and I'm just, earing out everybody. But
was that the clown mask game where he showed up?
It was, because Jonathan Joseph called him the clown.
Yeah, Marlon Mack ran for like 150 yards. People forget.
Yep.
Yeah. Dude
ran all over him. That's whenever I was like, that's whenever I was like, okay, we got something for the future, But Marlon Mack ran rampant all over him. T.Y. put like another 120 on him. So, yeah, that was definitely a good time.
Was that the game where Darius Leonard covered DeAndre Hopkins and actually batted a pass down? Or was that the one in the regular season where we went there?
That was regular season, but Deshaun Watson at half had like 30 yards. So that was like one of the worst performances Deshaun Watson's ever had. And I thought that was the funniest thing ever. Because that was the second time I'd seen Andrew play, and he looked, man, you want to talk about an absolute stud. That I remember watching that throw he made. That's that 50-yard bomb he threw to T.Y. on the first drive of the game, and he got double coverage, high safety coming in.
And the ball was triple coverage.
and the
I
ball
remember
just
3 guys on screen.
like an elevator into T.Y. Hilton's hands, and you're like, oh, I know we really missed that now.
Hell yeah.
On that note, before we
Yeah.
yeah, we definitely got to get this going. So next week we'll start talking about what day we're going to do it because of the draft. So I look forward to talking to you guys next week.
Great episode,
All right.
boys. Let's do it.
All right. Let's do
All
it,
right.
guys.
See you.
Go Colts.
Go Colts.
Go Colts.
Go Colts.
Luck picks it up, and Luck scores! Ingram picked up the ball and scores! A touchdown! Hedger and James!
Pat McAfee's lost his mind.
That's Mathis. The Colts have the football. Steps up, throws one over the net, intercepted! Marlon Jackson! Marlon got it! We're going to the Super Bowl! We're going to the Super Bowl!
The rivalry is back on.